I'm standing on the ruins of the old Sterling Borax Mine up Davenport Road near Agua Dulce, California. The Sterling Borax Mine has got an interesting story to it. It seems that in 1905, two men were looking for gold up this canyon. They didn't find gold, but what they did find was better, actually. It was a thing called borax, a mineral called borax. In case you don't know, borax is used as a flux in making steel. It's also used as a cleanser, so you might have soap at home that's made from borax. Anyway, these two guys put a claim on this property, and they sold that claim to a man named Thomas Thorkildsen. He's a very interesting character, and we'll talk more about him later. But Thorkildsen and his then partner decided that they would build a mine here, and what I'm standing on is the actual ruins of the loading dock of the mine. Behind me, up on that hill up there, is the hoist house, and all the minerals used to come down that slope over there to the buildings back here, and up above me on this side over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crawl around this area and show you some of the ruins and see what's left, and tell you the story of the Sterling Borax Mine, and also a place called Sterling City, which was just down the canyon from us. I'm down here where the narrow gauge railroad came up to the loading dock. This is where they loaded the finished product onto the rail cars, and then they took them down about 7 miles down this canyon behind me. This is called Tick Canyon. And it crossed the Santa Clara River and went into a place called Lang Station. Lang Station is a pretty famous place in California history. That's where the rails from the north to the south were joined together. Anyway, this narrow gauge line, and by the way, narrow gauge means 3-foot wide rails. This narrow gauge line was only one of 2 that were found in all of Southern California. This one here, and then the one down in Julian, California. In addition to the narrow gauge line, there was what they called a little dinky rail, which ran all around the property in various places. That was a 2-foot wide gauge, and it was used to take the tailings or the waste product from the mine and get them out of their way so they could do more work. At one time, the Sterling Borax Mine employed about 160 people. They had to live somewhere, and where they lived was right behind me. This canyon here, this was called Sterling City. Now, Sterling City was made up of a whole bunch of houses. It included a boarding house for the single men. There was even a schoolhouse, a small schoolhouse for the few children that lived up here. Sterling City had no stores themselves, but it is reported that there was a post office for Sterling City at one time. The city, like the mine, lasted from about 1908 to 1928. As you can see, there's absolutely nothing left of it anymore. Standing right along Davenport Road here, this black earth that you see around us is actually the tailings, the waste material from the mine itself. The road, Davenport Road, was built right on the tailings. And behind me is a cut that was made for the 3-foot wide narrow gauge rail that ran through here. We have a couple of photographs of this site here. One of the photographs actually shows in the background, and above it, it actually shows the 2-foot dinky rail that was crossing over the 3-foot narrow gauge.
It was too hot where we were, and we had to come here by the Sweetwater Cafe so we could talk some more about... did I tell you about Thomas Thorkildsen, the guy from the Sterling Borax Mine? He was kind of an unusual fellow. He made a lot of money. And he took all this money and he bought about 6.5 acres of real estate in Beverly Hills. This is about 1910. See? Then he built this big mansion with a whole bunch of bedrooms and bathrooms and stuff. And Thomas Thorkildsen was a very vain man. He thought more of himself than anybody else could have. And he thought he was the perfection of manhood. So as the story goes, you would go to dinner at Thomas Thorkildsen's house, say, and he'd lay out a wonderful spread with the wine and the champagne and the whole works, and after a few drinks, he would take his clothes off and prance around naked for you so that you could admire his physique. I don't know how many people agreed with Thomas that he was a fine specimen of manhood, but this is a true story. This was part of his biography. Unfortunately for Thomas, he sort of lost his wealth. And he had to apparently auction off his possessions and sell his property in Beverly Hills. And he died in 1950, and he ended up penniless. But I guess while he lived from 1869 to 1950, that's 81 years old. So he must have done pretty good for himself for those 81 years.
If you want to know more about the Sterling Borax Mine, go to scvhistory.com or go to the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society, which is downtown Newhall. They're open on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4. For SCV TV, I'm Philip Scorza.